In a village where hunger was common, there lived a boy named Clinton. While other children carried books to school, he carried baskets of vegetables to the market. Yet, inside him burned a stubborn love for education, a flame no hardship could quench. If this is the first time you're seeing this channel, please subscribe. Turn on your notification bell and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Grab your popcorn and stay close to this story and discover how this poor boy's hunger for knowledge carried him from the dust of poverty to a destiny no one imagined. The cock crowed before dawn, its sharp cry cutting through the midst of the little village. Inside a small mud house at the edge of the settlement, Clinton stared from the mat where he lay beside his younger siblings. The air was cold, and the faint smell of herbs mixed with smoke from the dying fire. From the other room, his mother's voice came, soft but firm. "Clinton, get up. The market will not wait for us." Clinton rubbed his sleepy eyes. His stomach growled, but it was not a new sound. Hunger had become his closest companion. He rose quickly, careful not to wake his younger brother and sister, and stepped outside. In the corner of the room, his father lay coughing weakly on a bamboo bed. Once, this man had been strong, tilling the soil with his hand that never tired, but sickness had broken him. His medicines consumed almost all the family's earnings, leaving little for food and nothing at all for school fees. Clinton stood for a moment, watching his father's sunken eyes. He wished he could help, but he was only a boy, yet already burdened like a man. Outside, the morning breeze kissed his skin as he followed his mother down the narrow path leading to the market. A heavy basket balanced on his head, filled with yams and vegetables. His mother carried another, even heavier one. Around them, other traders hurried along, their voices rising with the chatter of a village waking to life. At the market, noise exploded in all directions. Women shouted the names of their goods. Men dragged carts through the crowded lanes. Children ran, laughing, their bare feet slapping against dusty ground. Tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, come and buy. Clinton dropped his baskets in their usual corner. His mother quickly arranged the vegetables, her hands moving fast with years of practice. Clinton joined her, stacking yam neatly, placing peppers in a small calabash, but his eyes kept wandering. Every few minutes, children in clean uniforms passed by, their books tucked under their arms, their laughter rising like a song Clinton could not sing. His heart tightened. He wanted to follow them, to sit on a wooden bench inside a classroom, to hold a book of his own. Instead, he stood here, selling yams. "Clinton," his mother's sharp voice pulled him back. "Why are you staring like that? Customers are coming." Clinton nodded quickly. "Sorry, Mama." He forced a smile as the woman bought 3 tubers of yam, but as he handed her the goods, his eyes strayed again. The children were now far ahead, their voices fading into the distance. Clinton's heart ached with longing. The sun rose higher, pouring heat over this market. Clinton's shirt clung to his skin, drenched in sweat. His arms ached from lifting baskets, but he said nothing. By noon, most of the vegetables were gone. His mother counted the coins with tired hands, just enough to buy food for tonight, she sighed. Nothing more. Clinton swallowed hard. He wanted to ask her about school, but he kept quiet. She was already carrying enough pain. On their way home, Clinton's feet dragged slowly. His eyes lifted as they reached the fork in the road. To the left lay their mud house. To the right stood the village school. He could hear faint laughter drifting from its compound. Clinton's heart quickened. His mother noticed his gaze. "Clinton," she said softly, "don't look that way. That road is not for us." But Clinton could not help himself. He shifted the basket on his head and whispered, "Mama, I will meet you at home. I want to greet a friend." His mother frowned. "Which friend?" Clinton hesitated, then forced a smile. "I will not be long, Mama." She shook her head, too tired to argue, and walked on. Clinton's heart raced as he slipped through the bushes, closer and closer to the school walls. The classrooms were alive with the sound of learning. He crept to the back of one building, where a cracked window stood open. His small hands gripped the frame as he peeped inside. There, neat rows of children sat in uniform, their eyes on the blackboard. The teacher's chalk moved sweetly, dragging letters and numbers. "A for apple," the children shouted in chorus. "B for ball, C for cat." Clinton's lips moved silently with them. He memorized every word, his face glowing with excitement. For a moment, he forgot he was outside. In his heart, he was already one of them. But suddenly, a boy inside turned and saw him. His voice rang out, "Teacher, look, the market boy is spying again." Laughter erupted. The children pointed their voices mocking. Clinton's cheek burned. He ducked quickly, passing himself against the wall. His chest heaved with shame. Still, he did not run. When the laughter died down, he lifted his eyes once more, just enough to see the board. His heart whispered, "They can laugh all they want. I will keep learning." The sun dipped low. The final bell rang and the pupils poured out of the classroom, still laughing and playing. Clinton slipped away through the bushes before the teachers could see him. His legs trembled, but inside, his determination burned brighter than ever. That night, as he lay on the mat beside his siblings, he whispered the letters into the darkness: A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. His younger brother giggled. "Clinton, where did you learn that?" Clinton smiled faintly. "I just heard it somewhere." He did not tell them about the cracked window. It was the secret, his hidden school. And as he closed his eyes, hunger ground at his stomach, but hope filled his heart. He was still the boy who carried baskets in the market, but inside him, a dream had been born. The days passed, but Clinton's heart could not forget the taste of learning he had stolen through the school window. Each evening, when the market walk was over and his mother sat counting her coins, Clinton's mind replayed the teacher's chalk, the rhythm of the children's voices, and the magic of letters that could turn sounds into words. Every afternoon, after helping his mother, Clinton found himself drifting towards the school like a moth drawn to light. He never entered the gate. Instead, he crept quietly to the back, where the cracked window waited for him like a secret doorway to another world. Through that window, Clinton lived two lives. Outside, he was a barefoot boy with dust-stained clothes and empty pockets. But when his eyes pierced inside, he became a student, his heart racing as he followed every lesson, his lips moving in silence, his memory holding every word. The teachers never saw him. The pupils often did. Sometimes they whispered to each other and pointed. "Look at him," one boy sneered. "The market boy is back again." Another laughed. "Maybe he wants to sell our books." Their mocking voices pierced Clinton's heart, but he refused to leave. He swallowed the shame and stared at the window, his eyes fixed on the board. "Let them laugh," he told himself. "They do not know my hunger." One afternoon, as the sun beat down mercilessly, Clinton leaned against the wall, watching the teacher explain a math problem. The numbers danced on the board, and though he had never been taught properly, Clinton's sharp mind solved them as quickly as the pupils inside. 4 plus 3 equals 7, he whispered under his breath, grinning with pride. But just then, a voice startled him. "Clinton, is that you?" He turned sharply. It was Amara, a girl from the village. She was carrying a basket of groundnuts to sell by the roadside. She tilted her head, curious. "Why are you hiding here?" Clinton's face flushed. He stammered, I just want to watch." Amara smiled kindly. "I see you here often. You're not like the other boys in the market. You love books, don't you?" Clinton nodded slowly. "Yes, more than anything." Amara sighed. "If only you could go inside." Her words sank deep into Clinton's heart. If only. He thought of his sick father, his weary mother, the coins that disappeared into medicine bottles. School fees were a mountain his family could never climb. That night, as the moonlight filtered through the cracks of their mud house, Clinton whispered to himself, "One day, I will not stand outside. One day, I will sit at the desk like them." His siblings were asleep, but Clinton's eyes remained open, shining with quiet determination. The next morning, after the market, he returned to the window. This time, the teacher was teaching English. "Good morning, class," the teacher said. "Good morning, sir," the pupils chorused. Clinton repeated the words softly, his lips moving in perfect time. The teacher wrote on the board, My name is Clinton," the boy whispered to himself, smiling proudly. One afternoon, as Clinton stood at his usual spot, the school compound grew unusually quiet. He thought the teachers had gone inside, but then he heard the sound of steady footsteps. Turning his head, he froze. It was the headmaster, Mr. John, a tall man with sharp eyes and a serious face. He was walking slowly around the compound, inspecting the classrooms. Clinton's heart jumped into his throat. He crouched low, hoping to hide, but it was already too late. Mr. John's eyes had already caught him. The headmaster stopped. His gaze lingered, not with anger, but with curiosity. He took a step closer, then another, until Clinton could feel his shadow falling across him. "My son," Mr. Johnson said, his voice calm but firm, "why are you standing outside this window?" Clinton's lips trembled. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. His secret had finally been uncovered. The headmaster waited patiently for an answer. Clinton lowered his eyes to the ground. He could not speak. "My boy," Mr. John said again, softer this time, Tell me the truth. Why do you come here every day? Clinton's legs shook as Mr. Johnson's shadow loomed over him. For the first time since he began peeping through the cracked window, he had been caught, not by a pupil who laughs, but by the man who ruled the school himself. My boy, Mr. John repeated gently, his sharp eyes softening. Why do you stand here, day after day, looking inside? Shouldn't you be in the classroom with others? Clinton swallowed hard. His lips parted, but no words came. Fear gripped his throat. What if the headmaster chased him away forever? What if he told the teachers never to let him near again? Mr. John crouched down so that his eyes were level with the boy's. His voice carried no anger, only curiosity. Tell me your name. Clinton, the boy stammered. Clinton, Mr. John repeated slowly, as though testing the name. Why are you not inside learning with the rest? Tears pricked Clinton's eyes. He had hidden this truth for so long, but now it pushed its way out, trembling like a bird freed from a cage. Sir, my father is very sick. His medicine takes all the money my mother makes. We have nothing left for school fees. I only wanted to learn, so I stand here to listen. For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. The noise of children reciting lessons inside seemed distant. Mr. John studied the boy's face. The hunger in his eyes was not for food, was for knowledge, a hunger fiercer than any he had ever seen in years of teaching. The headmaster murmured. He rose slowly, his gaze thoughtful. You love education this much, Clinton? Yes, sir, Clinton whispered. His voice cracked. Even if I cannot sit inside, I will keep coming to listen. Please don't chase me away. Mr. John's stern face softened into a smile. He placed a firm hand on Clinton's shoulders. Chase you away? No, my boy. I will not chase away a child who loves knowledge. From today, you will not stand outside the window anymore. You belong in that classroom. Clinton gasped. His hands stuttered wildly, as if it would burst. Sir, really? Yes, Mr. John said firmly. I will speak to your teachers. Your place is inside, not out here. I will see to it myself. Tears rolled freely down Clinton's dusty cheeks. He dropped to his knees, his small hands clutching the headmaster's trousers. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. John gently lifted him up. Stand tall, Clinton. A boy who loves education must walk with his head high. From tomorrow, you will sit at a desk, hold a book, and learn properly. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. Clinton's voice rang with joy. That evening, Clinton walked home as though his feet no longer touched the ground. His mother noticed the unusual brightness in his eyes. Clinton, what happened today? You are smiling like a boy who found treasure. Clinton hesitated. Should he tell her? What if she worried about the fees? But hope bubbled too strongly to be hidden. Mama, he said softly, the headmaster saw me at the school window and he said I can join the class. His mother froze, the basket slipping from her hands. What? Did I hear you well? Yes, Mama, Clinton said, nodding eagerly. He promised me. He said I belong inside. For a moment, silence filled the small hut. Then his mother sat down heavily, tears welling in her eyes. She pulled Clinton close and whispered, my son, God has remembered us. You have suffered enough. If this is true, then your future has just begun. That night, Clinton could barely sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining himself in a school uniform, writing in a notebook, answering questions with his hand raised high. For the first time, his dream no longer felt like a distant star. It was within reach. The next morning, he hurried to the school, his heart racing. True to his word, Mr. John introduced him to the class. Some people giggled and whispered, but when Clinton picked up the chalk and answered a question perfectly, their laughter turned to silence. The teacher's eyebrows shot up in surprise. This boy is brilliant, she exclaimed. From that day, Clinton's life changed. He no longer stood outside the window. He sat at a desk, a book in hand, soaking in knowledge like a sponge. His intelligence amazed the teachers, and even the couples who once mocked him began to admire him. Clinton's life changed like night turning into day. No longer was he the boy who peeped through cracked windows. Now he sat among the pupils, his back straight, his eyes bright, his heart shooting up with answers before others could even think. His teachers marveled at his brilliance. Clinton, one teacher said one afternoon, you are a gift. With a mind like this, you will go far. The words filled Clinton's heart with pride. For the first time, he believed that maybe, just maybe, his dream of becoming a great man could come true. And at the center of it all stood Mr. John, the headmaster who had plucked him from the dust and placed him in the light. Whenever Clinton passed him in the school compound, Mr. John would smile warmly. "Keep working hard, Clinton," he would say. "Your story has only begun." Clinton carried those words like a treasure. At home, his mother's heart swelled with joy. Every evening, Clinton would return and read aloud to his siblings. "A is for apple," he would say, and the children would clap. His father, still weak from sickness, would smile faintly from his bed. "That boy," he whispered one night, "will one day bring light to this family." One morning, as the pupils settled into their classes, whispers spread through the school like wildfire. The headmaster was ill. Teachers wore worried faces. The next day, the news came like a hammer blow. Mr. John had passed away in the night. The school fell into mourning. Pupils cried. Teachers walked slowly. Their voices hushed, but for Clinton, the world shattered. The man who had seen his hunger, the man who had given him a chance, was gone. That evening, Clinton sat alone behind the school, tears streaming down his face. His mother tried to console him when he returned home, but nothing he said could ease the ache. "Mama," Clinton whispered, "what will happen to me now? Without the headmaster, who will pay my fees? Who will allow me to stay in school?" His mother had no answer. She held him close, her tears mixing with his. "God will not abandon us," she said softly, though her own heart trembled with fear. Days turned into weeks, and the truth became clear. With Mr. Johnson gone, Clinton's place in school was uncertain. Teachers loved him, but rules were rules. Fees had to be paid. Clinton watched in silence as his classmates continued learning, while he struggled with the thought of being thrown back into the market, back to carrying baskets with no hope of return. One afternoon, as Clinton walked home from school, 3 older boys approached him. They were well-dressed, confident, their eyes glinting with secrets. One of them placed a hand on Clinton's shoulders. "You are Clinton, right? The boy who is always top of his class." "Yes," Clinton replied cautiously. The boy smiled. "We have been watching you. We know your problem, money, school fees. You don't have to suffer. There is a way." Clinton's heart pounded. "What way?" The boy leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Join us. We belong to a brotherhood. Once you are inside, you will never lack. Your fees will be paid. Your future will be guaranteed." Another boy added, "You are smart, Clinton. Don't waste your life begging. With us, you will rise fast." Clinton froze. The words sounded sweet, tempting, like honey dripping from a comb. A life without worry, a path without struggle. But deep inside, something warned him. He had heard whispers in the village about secret groups that lured young boys with promises, only to destroy them in the end. He stepped back, shaking his head. "No, I don't want that life. I will walk. I will find another way." The boys smiled. "Suit yourself. But remember, poverty doesn't wait. Don't come crying later." They walked away, leaving Clinton trembling. That night, Clinton lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His siblings slept peacefully. His mother snored softly, and his father coughed in the dark. Clinton's mind swirled. Should he have accepted their offer? Would his dream die now? But then he remembered Mr. John's voice. "Keep working hard, Clinton. Your story has only begun." Clinton clenched his fist. "I will not give up," he whispered fiercely. "Even if I must carry loads, even if I must go hungry, I will not sell my soul for an easy path." The candle of hope Mr. John had lit in his life flickered in the dark. Though the flame was weak, Clinton was determined to protect it. And so, with his heart heavy, but his spirit strong, he chose the harder road. Clinton's days grew heavier after the death of Mr. John. The boy who once entered school with joy now carried burden far too big for his young shoulders. Fees loomed like a mountain. Hunger followed him like a shadow. Yet every morning, Clinton tied his worn-out sandals, carried his little exercise book, and walked to school. To pay what he could, he began taking on menial jobs after classes. He fetched water for people at the market, carried heavy baskets for traders, and sometimes polished shoes by the roadside until his finger ached. At night, he collapsed on his mat, too tired to eat, but still, he whispered to himself, "I will not give up. I will not let poverty bury me." His classmates noticed the change. Some whispered about his ragged uniform. Others laughed at the holes in his sandals, but Clinton refused to bow his head. In the classroom, his brilliance shone brighter than ever. Whenever the teacher asked a question, his hand shot up first. His answers crisp, clear, and correct. Knowledge was his weapon, and he sharpened it daily. But the road was cruel. Sometimes, after paying part of his fees, there was nothing left for food at home. His father's cough worsened, and the price of medicine climbed higher. Clinton's mother worked herself thin at the market, but their earnings were never enough. More than once, Clinton thought of the boys who had offered him an easy way. Their words echoed, "With us, you will never lack." Yet, whenever the thought tempted him, he would remember Mr. John's eyes, kind, firm, filled with belief. That memory was enough to hold him back from ruin. One rainy afternoon, Clinton sat in the classroom, his stomach growling with hunger. The teacher entered, holding a sheet of paper. She smiled, her eyes shining with excitement. "Children, listen carefully. A scholarship has just been announced. It is for brilliant students from poor homes. The winner will be sponsored through school, from primary to secondary. Then the university education will be done abroad." The class buzzed with excitement. Pupils whispered and exchanged glances. Clinton's heart skipped. Abroad, a scholarship. Could such a miracle be real? The teacher continued. "The scholarship will be based on exams. Only the best will qualify. If you are interested, prepare well." That night, Clinton could not sleep. He stared at the leaking roof of their hut, rain dripping into a bowl, his mind racing. This was his chance, his only chance. But was he strong enough? Was he ready? The days that followed became a storm of preparation. Clinton borrowed old textbooks, studied by candlelight, and recited aloud until his siblings begged him to stop. He solved difficult problems, practiced essays, and prayed before every page. Hunger clawed at him, fatigue pulled at his eyelids, but determination burned hotter. On the morning of the exam, Clinton walked to the school with trembling legs. He had only a piece of bread for breakfast, but his mind was sharp. He entered the exam hall, looked at the paper, and his heart steadied. The questions seemed made for him as his pen danced across the pages. Confidence replaced fear. When he finished, Clinton bowed his head and whispered, "God, if this is my time, let it be." The wait for the results felt endless. Days dragged into weeks. Clinton continued his chores, carrying loads and shining shoes, but his mind was fixed on one thing: the scholarship. Finally, one hot afternoon, the head teacher stood before the school assembly, holding a folded paper. The whole compound grew silent. "The scholarship results are out," she announced, "and the winner, the one choosing to study abroad, the one that will be sponsored throughout his secondary education, and his university education will be done abroad." He paused, her eyes scanning the crowd. Clinton's heart hammered like a drum. Sweat trickled down his back. "Clinton," she declared. "Clinton is the winner." The school erupted in cheers. Pupils clapped, some gasped, and others shouted his name. Clinton stood frozen, unable to move. His classmates lifted him, chanting, "Scholarship, scholarship." Tears poured down his face. That evening, when Clinton ran home with the news, his mother collapsed to her knees, crying with joy. She held his face in her hands. "My son, you have done it. You have lifted this family's shame." Even his sick father, lying weak on the bed, managed a faint smile. "Clinton," he whispered, "you have brought light into this house. You will go where I could never dream. You will heal many, starting with me." And so it was. Clinton's scholarship carried him beyond the village, beyond the cracked windows of his childhood. After he finished his secondary education, he traveled to a land far away, where he studied medicine with the same hunger that once drove him to peep through the school walls. His brilliance amazed the professors, just as it had amazed his teachers back home. Years later, Clinton returned to his village, not as the poor boy who once carried baskets, but as a young doctor, his head held high. He walked straight into his father's room, carrying medicine not borrowed, not begged, but earned with sweat and determination. "Papa," he said softly, holding his father's frail hand, "your suffering ends today." His father wept, his mother sang praises, and the whole village gathered to witness the miracle of the boy who once peeped through a window, but now stood tall as a healer. And so, Clinton's story became a song on every lip, a reminder to all children that poverty is not the end, and to all parents that a seed of determination can grow into a mighty tree. Because in the end, Clinton proved one truth: dreams may bend, but if you refuse to break, they will rise again, stronger, brighter, unshakable. If you love this story, don't just leave. Share the lessons you learned in the comment section. Thank you for watching.